The 49ers' undefeated season came to an end this past Monday night versus the Seattle Seahawks. Now, before we go any further, I will say this. I hate the Seahawks. I used to live in Seattle, and I would wear my Niners jersey to several games at CenturyLink Field, even Quest Field before that. And so anything that I have on this video may be a little bit biased against the Seahawks because, like I said, I hate them. But this was a painful loss for any of the faithful. But, after a couple days to reflect, watch the film, and move on, we have to keep some things in perspective. This was a team that, coming in, was one of the top 5 teams in the NFL. And they've also been relatively healthy, and we were missing our biggest offensive weapon, and that ended up being a huge point in this game. You could see the difference in respect that Seattle gave our receivers when we had Sanders, Goodwin, and Samuel in the game compared to when it was Samuel, Pettis, and Bourne. Before Sanders went out of the game, we were able to score 10 points in less than 15 minutes of play. With him out of the game, we only managed to score 2 field goals. At one point, Seattle didn't even worry about matching our 3 receiver sets with an extra defensive back. They stayed in base. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't have a good game, but it would be erroneous to lay it all at his feet. The blame goes everywhere around in this game. The offensive line played one of their worst games of the year. The receivers dropped a bunch of passes. Jimmy made some bad or late decisions, and Kyle Shanahan got too aggressive at times, not taking what Seattle was giving them. Overall, with everything that went wrong, we still had a chance to win the game, and it wasn't decided until 70 minutes of football had been played. So with that, let's go ahead and jump to the film and just start a review of what happened. This play, to me, was the biggest play in the game. Why? Because it's overtime, and if we score, we win. And this was the play before the bad spot play, where it ended up being, it looked like we got a first down, and they spotted it just a little bit short, and then our kicker shanked it into the tunnel. So that's why I say this was a huge play. What we're going to do here is we're going to run an end trap. When I was in high school, we ran a similar play to this, but it was an inside. We called it a tackle trap. What that is just where you're getting double angled blocks on the line, and then you're leading up through the hole. So that being an end trap, you're going to pull a guard and kick out or seal off the edge defender and then have a fullback lead up through the hole. We actually catch Seattle in a run blitz off the edge. If we can kick Clowney out or at least just seal him off, this is going to be a great play. But Person gets blown up by Clowney. Juice is able to make it through the hole, but Clowney collapses the hole before Mostert can squeeze through. This was blocked perfectly by everyone except for Person. From the all-22 look, you can see the lane that's set up. As Juice is coming up on the free safety, he's the only guy between Mostert and the end zone. If Person simply seals Clowney off, this run goes for 6, and it's game over. Rewinding a bit, we're going to look at a play from the very first drive, and this is really going to be an example of just how the game went, that it was really a lot of self-inflicted wounds. We had a number of opportunities for one reason or another, but we just never capitalized. Here, Seattle is going to come out in man coverage with a single safety, and they're bringing a 5-man rush. We're going to come out in a bunch set and try and get a free release for several of our receivers. I can't say for certain what Jimmy is coached to do here. Goodwin's route may be an alert for man coverage. He's going to be running a double move. Sanders is just running a deep crossing or deep over route. As Jimmy drops back, you'll see Goodwin gets jammed up at the line of scrimmage, and Sanders, with his defender playing way off, gets an easy release to the inside and beats his man. Jimmy, meanwhile, is looking for Goodwin on his double move, but you can see here that if Jimmy sees Sanders, it's an easy touchdown. Even then, Goodwin gets separation against his man, but drops the pass, and we end up having to settle for a field goal. On this play, I want to highlight something that I think has been a bit of a false narrative, and that's this idea that was put out there that Seattle, they just came up with 9 or 10 men in the box with a single safety, pressed our receivers, dared us to throw, and shut down the running game. The only problem was that wasn't what really happened in the game. One of the bigger disappointments to me was our inability to run the ball when we had the opportunities. Here, Seattle is going to come out in a 2-safety look, and we'll try and get the running game going. You see here, we have enough blockers to occupy the defenders. We're going to run our outside zone, and Richburg is tasked with a reach block on the 1 technique. But as the play develops, you see that Ford beats Richburg, and he's never able to seal off the one tech. Everyone blocks the play fairly well, and we're looking at a decent gain. Instead, it's a 1-yard loss. On this play, we're actually going to get decent protection, but we just simply do not win on our routes. Seattle is going to come out in a cover 3 zone, and we're going to try and run some double moves on both routes to the 3 receiver side. Bourne is going to run an in and out route, sometimes called a zig route, and Pettis is going to run a sluggo route. So this is actually going to give the look of a double slant concept. Jimmy is going to be tasked with selling the double slant by looking to read the hook curl defender, who is the key read on a double slant. And the receivers just have to sell their routes and win. As Jimmy drops back, we'll see he's looking down the hook curl. That's again to sell this double slant. And it looks for a second that Bourne might be open, but it's hard to tell because the defenders can close really quickly on those short outside throws. Those are dangerous throws. The bigger thing is that Pettis doesn't fool anyone on his sluggo route. As Jimmy looks to go deep on the sluggo, it's completely covered up, and by the time he moves to Bourne, that's covered up, and from there, the play breaks down. This was just an example of where our misdirection didn't work at all and we're unable to complete a pass. So without being able to capitalize several times when Seattle was still yet to score, we're now going to see what happened on the fumble, scoop, and score. I'm not sure what happened to Richburg earlier, but he's out on this play and he's replaced by Ben Garland. So, knowing this, Seattle comes with a tackle stunt. Garland doesn't read the stunt well and never hands his man off and picks up the other. This allows a lineman to come right up the gut at Jimmy G. Jimmy still needs to protect the ball better, but that's tough when you have quick pressure coming right up the gut. Keeping with the offensive line woes, we're going to look at this play. We were able to get a guy open downfield on this play, but Joe Staley gets beat really, really badly by Jadeveon Clowney. He fakes in, and Joe completely bites, and he just runs around him. And this play ended another drive. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. Look forward for parts 2 and 3 coming out very soon. Set your notifications on. Be looking out for it. You know, this was a rough loss. There's no team I hate losing to more than Seattle. But it's not all doom and gloom. We did have some nice things in this game, and seeing how much meat was left on the table, it is somewhat encouraging going forward. We were not outclassed or outmatched in this game. With all the adversity, it was still a game in which we could have won. But until next time, go Niners!